What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Podcast. Sorry you're stuck with my voice today. Hey, it's Adam, aka CS Radical, here with you guys, joined as always with Jen and Chris. Kaylan, as you can see to my left here on YouTube as I pointed to the right side of the screen because I don't understand how mirroring works. Doesn't he look like I just sat him in the corner? He's thinking about what he's done, and aka that thing is not showing up this time because he's busy with family. I don't know. I think we're allowed to actually suspend him for that, Chris. I'm not sure how work regulations work here in this case.
Yeah, I think he can get a suspension for sure. And it's funny when I see, Kratos Kaylan, sitting like that, looking a little sad. I feel like it's because he still hasn't beaten Balatro, and that's what it looks like when he's done. It's just sad Kratos.
It's just him thinking about how the Nintendo indie way was so many JRPGs, and he's like, there was nothing for me. What am I going to do?
So many
It's just all JRPGs, and it finished with Yakuza. What am I supposed to do?
Okay. All it needed was a Kingdom Hearts reveal, and Kaylan would have been done. Quit gaming.
It's not
for
indie
life.
enough for that, man. Okay, Kingdom Hearts is AAA peak gaming. All right.
And AAA peak gaming. Right.
Well, speaking of AAA P gaming, on this episode, we're actually going to talk about the not AAA showcase that was Nintendo's Indie. What was it? Indie World that they did? Because it's not Direct. It's like
They
Indie
did
World,
two.
I think.
Yeah, they have two, and they kind of combine them. Today was the Indie World, which is all the indie games, and then the third-party partner showcase or something, which is third-party games.
So we're going to go over that. Now, initially, the entire purpose of this episode before today was going to be to shit on Concord. We're still going to do that, but the indie stuff just makes it that much easier to lead into that topic. So look forward to lots of good and one specific bad thing that we are going to talk endlessly about. But aside from that, I'll quickly start by just saying I have done fuck all this week that's new, apart from trying a bunch of little things here and there that just didn't click. I did try Flintlock.
Oh.
I don't get it, but mind you, it may just be I'm not in for that kind of gameplay right now.
Yeah.
Also, the story just blows by in the first 30 minutes, and I'm like, I don't understand a fucking thing that's happening right now. I'm like, this is JRPG, beyond JRPG's levels of I don't know what's happening. At least JRPG, it's like, hey, you're saving a cat in a tree before, we get you to the God complex later on. This one is just like, by the way, you're just in this world that's like if World War I mixed with magic, and here's this giant thing. Oh, by the way, it kills a thing. Oh, by the way, now you fell into the water, and now you're in this other area, and you're like, can I get a fucking summary, please?
You need the
can I get a
notes.
synopsis for a second here?
It makes Kingdom Hearts look so just streamlined and straightforward with its story.
And that's like, Kaylan might watch this and go, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand it? It's like, Kaylan, my guy, I've played a lot of convoluted storylines. I know when there's somewhere to go with them, and I wasn't seeing it there, and I'm like, I ain't got time for this shit. So I've got at least 20 other things I could be trying right now. Who knows? Maybe I can come back to it at another day, but it did not click. The gameplay also was okay. The combat felt like Souls-light-ish with a little bit more of a emphasis on parrying rather than dodging, but it was all right. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was bad or anything. It's just it wasn't clicking at all for me. But aside from that, just still chipping away at Balatro. Every unlocked deck is now done the red stakes, so every deck that I can possibly play with right now is past the first two difficulties. I have not really tried to go anywhere with the third one yet, so that's to be done in progress. Other than that, I mean, just getting to see the Sonic 3 trailer and getting all excited, I guess.
Oh, I'm very
Which
excited.
I can't imagine you, of all people, is excited about at all.
No, what are you talking about? No, I watched that instantly and then sent it to my nephew so that he could immediately also get psyched, because he's the one I go usually to see the Sonic movies. I usually see it twice. Once with you guys and then also once with my nephew. But I'm so excited.
Forgot or completely didn't know that Keanu Reeves is playing Shadows. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, why is that so fucking perfect?
It's so perfect. And I think it was rumored he would play Shadow. I don't remember it being confirmed. I just remember seeing rumors. So
yeah, because I think we only got with the end credits of the second movie. It was just showing him, but there was never any indication of it. And I don't remember seeing any story that mentioned he was doing it. So yeah, I mean, it was probably mentioned at some point, because I mean, it's very hard in Hollywood for Keanu Reeves to do anything and nobody leaks it. So
yeah, can't believe they got him. Idris Elba and Keanu, the two Cyberpunk 2077 actors, are in Sonic 3. What's happening? So good.
I mean,
Oh, so good.
I don't see the issue at all.
Oh no, there's no issue. This is peak game movie. So much better than Borderlands. We just know it.
Well, I
We just
mean,
know it.
to be fair, the bar to clear Borderlands right now is so far underground that I'm pretty sure you can't get there.
Yeah, no, you can't. I think every movie on Earth, even non-gaming movie, is better than the Borderlands movie. Like, there's nothing worse. It's just impossible to find.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm almost willing to say, even without having watched it, that Mortal Kombat Annihilation is probably better than that movie.
It has to be, because at least that's fun in a campy way.
No, the second one. Because the second one, by all accounts, is bad.
Oh, no, I mean the second.
The first one is good, but can't be good.
The second one is like campy sorry, not campy, but it's fun to watch and make fun of it. You still can have fun with the second one.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good way to look at it. The Mortal Kombat Annihilation is like The Room for video game movie buffs.
Yes, exactly. Like The Room. Where Borderlands, I feel like they're trying to be good. And
is it Mortal Kombat Annihilation, though, or is it Street Fighter, the movie? Because both are really much in that territory. Because Raul Julia...
Borderlands is... Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, I didn't like the Street Fighter movie, but like I like the Street Fighter movie. It's hard to explain. It's like I like it because it's nostalgic and like I like the way they did some of the characters' outfits.
Look, they can,
but the story is still ridiculous.
You know what? I'm not willing to pick. They can share. They can share and revel in the absolute suctitude that was those two movies.
So good, so bad, but so good.
Well, otherwise, what have you been up to?
So Adam, I'm going to tell you right now that I actually finished Atomic Heart. I actually went back.
You poor bastard.
And I have a different opinion on that game now. And how will I put this? It is actually a decent game. It is the best game I would never buy, if that makes sense. So I saw that, Atomic Heart's going to be leaving Game Pass at the end of August. I'd already been playing it, obviously, as I talked about in the podcast way back, probably like, I don't know, like 9 months ago. I was 5 hours in, and I was bored off my freaking mind. Like, it was just horrible. Like, the gameplay was so repetitive. It was dreary. It was like two enemy types. Anybody watching the stream right now just saw both of them, actually. It's like this flying robot and then the like mustache android looking things. And that's it. Like, it was dreary and boring and ugly and just like not what it kind of looked like in the art and trailers. Well,
because that was my biggest complaint when I played the like hour and maybe 2 hours at most that I played before I eventually went, I can't. Like, this is killing me. Because it was like BioShock without the intrigue.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about the early stages of BioShock is it's not that crazy early on, but the intrigue of the area around you is what sells it. And then you get more of the power-ups, and then you get more of the enemies, and then you get a little bit deeper into it, and now you're hooked. But like the beginning of Atomic Heart, also, that initial like 15 minutes of nothing just kills you. It just takes you out of it already immediately.
Yeah. And that actually turns out to be the issue with Atomic Heart. So now that I've actually gone through and played the 15 hours that the game actually is, it's not that Atomic Heart is a bad game. It's that it has the worst first 5 hours of a 15-hour game like ever made. It is so brutal because the section that I was in, which is the one playing in the screen, which is just like repetitive, like underground office, like laboratory thing, you're there for a long time. And the game opens, at least you're outdoors and there's big statues and they're trying to have big set pieces. And then all of a sudden you end up in this laboratory and it's so boring. It is just so boring, repetitive, not intriguing at all. And we all know the dialogue in this game is actually pretty brutal. One quote in the game that was my favorite was, "Crispy critters, I don't give two wet farts." That was literally something the main character said in a very, what I thought was going to be a big scene. It turns out those big scenes, the main character could just not be actually serious and just like, I think they were trying to be serious, but just did not work. But anyways, it was leaving Game Pass, and I was like, all right, if it's now or never. If I'm going to give this a second chance, there's no way in heck I'm ever going to actually pay for this game. I know that. And I still stand by that. Like, if you're somebody who wants to play this, If it's like $12 Canadian or something, that to me would be the only time I could suggest this game, because it's just that's pretty cheap, right? It's only about $12. Anything more than that, I just cannot suggest this game. But I am happy to say that after playing it and getting out of this area, because after about 4 or 5 hours, you actually leave this underground lab and you end up outside again and go to a whole bunch of different locations. And you go to like 5 other locations. Like when I looked at a walkthrough, this underground lab that was so boring and horrible and all that kind of stuff, it's only part 2 of 7. It's like not there's no chapters in the game, but imagine there were. This is chapter 2 of 7. But it's somehow 1/3 of the game, because the last 10 hours goes by a lot faster. And it's different set pieces, and it's outdoors. You go to like a hospital, you go to another area, you go into a monorail outside and be a part of a giant monorail chase. Like all of this really cool stuff that is very reminiscent of like BioShock Infinite actually happens, and it's really cool. There's like a museum. Anybody watching the stream, you're seeing that now. It's like this museum kind of level where you're seeing all the different technologies that were built, but you got to go through the museum. The game gets way nicer to look at. Plus, you unlock other weapons because you find the blueprints in chests. You upgrade your character with new powers or like upgrades that make you live longer and be able to do this. And it went from being actually a very hard game and like annoying to a game that by the end, I was able to beat every boss on my first try. I was playing on easy, but the game did not feel easy until about 6 hours in. And then it actually got like more easy as I went. And it's just, this game has horrible, horrible pacing. Like the fact that the first 5 hours, 1/3, you're basically stuck in the first main chapter. Like the first chapter would be the prologue before anything actually happens. You're just walking around, no weapons, no actual gameplays happen yet. So the first real action chapter that you're in is like 4 to 5 hours, and it's horrible. And it's not until you finally get through that the game opens up and becomes something. It felt like a different game. Like it felt like the developers went through that part. They didn't like it. So they decided to kind of open it up and start to do some other stuff, but left the old part in. And it's brutal. Like there's nothing I would do ever to go through that first 5 hours of this game again. It was some of the worst gameplay setting, just everything. There wasn't a redeeming factor at all in that first 5 hours. The last 10 hours, if the game started there and then kept going, I actually would have been able to really, really enjoy this game. Like the dialogue stays cringy the whole time. There's still graphical glitches, like the audio of the cutscenes wasn't in sync and stuff like that. The story's nothing crazy and to write home about, but at least it starts to get a lot better. A bunch of new enemies get introduced, new settings, new big like cinematic moments. There's even a big like BioShock part, kind of like it's very, very much inspired by BioShock. They even say the word rapture. They throw that in there. But yeah, the last 10 hours of the game goes from good to great by the end of it. When I beat it, I was actually at the point where I was rushing to my Xbox because I wanted to play another hour, which that first 5 hours, I was dreading getting through of it. So it's crazy just like how horribly paced that game is. I think it is a lot better than I gave it initial credit for, but that first 5 hours is still like a 1 out of 6. And then the game becomes a 3 out of 6. And then the last couple hours is like a 5 out of 6. So it's just so inconsistent. I still would not, again, suggest this to anybody to actually pick up. It's really hard to even score this game because it feels like 2 or 3 games mixed together. But I mean, it's leaving Game Pass. This would have been the perfect Game Pass game. You know, you could play it and not have to actually pay money for it if you've already got the subscription. But honestly, if this is like $10, maybe give it a go if you really, really think you can get through 5 hours to enjoy like an actual BioShocky 10 hours. But if you can't do that, just skip it. Like I could not believe that as I was playing it, how much more enjoyable it was getting and how horrible the bad taste it left in my mouth for that first 5 hours was. Like horrible game design when it came to that. Like there's no question about it. I got to be honest, brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it's again like, and that kind of tells me everything I need to hear anyway. In that it was a game that really has that slow start, and for a lot of people, that's probably why a lot of people never finished it. Is because that first little bit in that lab is just so dreary. It's a callback to sort of that old, like Xbox 360 era where everything was gray or everything was brown.
Yeah,
it had no life to it.
And it's crazy. I know for a fact that a lot of people did exactly what you did and what I almost did. Because when I beat one of the bosses near the end, like the second or third last boss on Xbox, if the achievement is less than 10% of people have unlocked it, it does like a special diamond like achievement as a different sound. Just from beating a boss, a unmissable achievement, it was like 9.8% of people have unlocked that. And that was like the third last boss. So if you had just played the story normally, you would have got that. That means like less than 10% of people kept going with the game to the point that they actually beat it. And I didn't check the final achievement. I really should check the achievement for beating the game. But the fact the third last boss, under 10% of people unlock that achievement, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
For an unmissable story achievement, for sure.
If there's ever something that shows that there's a pacing problem in a game, that's going to be one of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I almost didn't go back. I only did because I was like, if I get a craving to give this one more try, like this is it. It leaves at the end of August, and we're here in August 2024. So anybody listening to this after August 2024, you got no chance. You can't play it on Game Pass unless they put it back there again. So yeah, good luck getting it for a decent price where you won't feel ripped off.
Yeah, for sure. Well, enough about the present, or I guess the past. We should talk about the present. Well, I guess it's the future, because it is games that aren't out yet. Because Nintendo did their Indie World Direct, and I went in thinking like, oh, there might be like one or two cool things, and then you guys were in the Discord because I was still at work, so I was like, no, I didn't even realize it was at that time. I thought it was later in the afternoon anyway. So you guys were all talking about it. I'm like, wait, what? I missed it? Oh shit, go check. Started skimming through it, and the further and further I got in, the more I'm like, how is there so many interesting things in this? That is so unusual for a Nintendo Direct. It's not even like a shot at Nintendo. It's generally with the Directs, I maybe walk away with two things.
Yeah.
I wrote down, I'm going to pop up my list here. I wrote down 13 things. That's a lot. That's like a Summer Game Fest amount.
Yeah, and this is just like a day before announced like indie showcase and third-party showcase. Nintendo's even like, there's no Switch 2 news. This is just a small thing. Just so if you have a Switch, like here's what's still coming. Most of what was coming wasn't even Switch exclusive. I think like everything is also coming to PlayStation and Steam, and then maybe Xbox. Xbox is probably the one that's a little iffy. But yeah, it was just a small thing. Small. But it's like one of the best things I watched all year.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, like it was all things that looked different, which God forbid, you didn't watch that and go, oh wow, is this like the fourth Soulsborne I've seen in the last 20 minutes? Like, yeah. Or, oh wow, this looks like another extraction shooter or another battle royale or another MMO or another live service game. Insert Concord here, please. But it was definitely one of those things that, like, right off the bat too, like it hit me with Coffee Talk Tokyo. Obviously, both of us are very familiar with it. But like the first thing almost right away was that Moth Qubit game, which is like this weird looking like top down RPG that kind of gave me like graphically like Earthbound vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one looked cool.
Like they set the tone very early. Like the first three things I have down are two amazing things that I've already played, which is Coffee Talk Tokyo and the Sea of Stars, Throes of the Watchmaker DLC, and then Moth Qubit. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the first 10 minutes. All right, well, I guess I can only go down from here. And then it kept going. I'm like, oh my God, want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. And it kind of, and it's going to beg the question. We're going to talk about the Direct a bunch first, but like, it really does bring up the conversation that it just feels like right now, I don't have a problem with gaming as a whole. I have a problem with the AAA industry because it's not hitting anymore. Whereas I now have a list of, I mean, not counting collections, remakes, or whatever, I have a list of probably at least 8 indie games from that show that I now need to watch over and wish list.
Yeah, I have I don't even know like the number, but I have a lot. Like I just think about everything that's coming, and it's like I need it. I need it. And so many of the things were like, oh, you can grab it today, or that update's available today. Even like updates to existing games that are, more indie focused, obviously, but still like,
Yeah, like Shovel Knight getting stuff,
God.
Balatro.
Yeah. And oh God, like it's so good. DLC for Sea of Stars, like you mentioned. Yeah, Pizza Towers coming to Switch or something, and even that was just like, oh, it's available now if you want to play it. Like,
And they
I
ended
know
with
that was on
Yakuza
PC,
Kiwami going on there. Like, how can I even said it in the Discord, which, by the way, if you're not in the Discord yet, why aren't you? Get in there. But I said, like, right off the bat, it's like, how far have we come that Yakuza is the last thing on a stream? Regardless of that it was the Indie World third-party one. Yakuza used to be very niche.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a new game, too. It was like that final thing was, hey, this game is now coming to this system. It wasn't there before. Not even a new game.
And like straight up though, like for Nintendo users, if you've never played a Yakuza game before, you are in for a fucking treat.
Oh, 100%. When I was playing Yakuza 0, all I could think the entire time was how much I wanted to play that game portably. The older UI kind of idea and all that kind of stuff would have been so good for portable.
And then Steam came up and we got you.
Yeah, well, there was no Steam Deck at the time when I was playing it. There was no ROG Ally, nothing like that. I literally couldn't play it on the TV or at my PC, and I have it on PC. I had a laptop set up on my lap on a couch because I was like, this is a portable experience. Like, this is the perfect portable experience. I need something. Why isn't this on the Switch?
Is it a portable experience, Chris, or do you really just want a standalone game that's just the Hostess Cafe?
I want the Hostess Cafe so I can play it in bed. Okay, that's what I want. Hostess Cafe in bed. God, I love that mini game.
It's still
so
in
much.
My head. It won't go away.
I'll dream of it the rest of my life. It is too much. It's too perfect. But yeah, the fact that's coming to Switch, like I have a Steam Deck now, so I was, now I can do the portable thing. But
like if you're the one that can't pony up the money for a Steam Deck compared to a Switch,
yeah. This is the perfect opportunity. Like those games are perfect on a portable system. I don't know how well it'll run on the Switch. I imagine it'll run pretty well. It's not a very demanding game. It's a little bit older, right? But to me, if anybody you're thinking of picking it up, do it.
I mean,
not
they got
only is
Witcher
it a great
to work
game.
on it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, pick it up. Pick it up on Switch if you don't have it now. Amazing experience, and it'll be so good portable. Oh.
And I mean, aside from that, like, even before we get into, like, the new stuff, again, like I said, the amount of remakes and collections and stuff, like, they brought up Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, they brought up the Dragon Quest 3 remaster, they brought up the Capcom Fighting Collection that they're doing again, which includes Power Stone, which I need to fucking get that just for Power Stone, because I've heard a million good things about that series.
Yeah, Power Stone 1 and 2, apparently. I didn't even know there's a sequel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the biggest one... And Chris, it's funny that you're only one game in, so you know what? You have a new starting point. You can just replay Trails 1 all over again because they're going to remake it.
Instead of playing one of the other, 11 games, I'm going to replay the only one I've actually played. You got to keep up
with it properly now.
Oh, fuck. No,
because they called it the first. That means they're going to do all three.
They're going to do all three.
Which means they might actually go and redo Azure and Zero as well.
No, I am just getting stuck. No, I have second story or whatever, second chapter. What's it? SC, right?
Second story chapter. Is Star Ocean, Chris. Stop mixing up your JRPGs. I know it's complicated.
I already have the second one installed on Steam Deck. I already bought it. I can't switch to the new remake version yet. I want to play the old one. Damn
yes, you can, because it'll be on Switch, so you switch to that.
That's true. It'll also be on Steam, I assume, and then I'm done. I'm done for.
I mean, I'm excited to. Granted, again, I've said my piece about Daybreak and how I don't like the new combat as much, but, you know what? At least I know the story of the first series is good, so you know what? It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But my God. Sorry, go and finish your thought there.
Oh, I was going to mention another game, so you can go ahead and then bring up, because it may be the same game.
You go, because I was just going to start talking about the other stuff, so go ahead.
Oh, Tales of Grace's F. I have to give that a call. I have to give that. That is
I
my
forgot
favorite
about that
Tales
because
of
I don't
game.
care about Tales, but that's your thing.
Oh, that is the first Tales of game I ever played. I put 220 hours into that game to platinum it on PS3. It took 3 playthroughs. Not because I was bad. It literally takes like 3 playthroughs to get through, unlock like super dungeons, all that kind of stuff. I love that game so much. It's one of the best Tales games. And like we've been getting, the Symphonia game came to PC, and
Yeah,
then
they
they
keep
brought
bringing
out
like
all
the
the other
same
ones.
like 2 over and over again.
Yeah, like and Vesperia got like its remaster or whatever re-release. And it was like, where the hell is Tales of Graces? And I kept thinking, it's a PS3 game. It's probably a lot harder to, code for other systems and all that
Where's
kind of
my
stuff.
Tales of Legendia?
Oh yeah, I want that. Fantasia, all the older ones. Oh yeah. But yeah, Tales of Graces F is finally getting a remaster. It's coming to Switch. I checked. It's coming to PS5, Xbox. It's coming to Steam. It's coming to everything. That's
So
a day one
there's
for
your
me.
Steam Deck rabbit hole.
Oh heck yeah! Oh my god! All of these Suikoden 1 and 2, the Dragon Quest 3 HD, 2D, whatever. Tales of Graces F now in January. Like every time I'm about done with JRPGs, like either
You're never
remasters or
done
new
with
ones,
JRPGs.
I'm
You're
just
never
I want to
done.
play my backlog and I can't. It's just here's this, here's that. Oh, you didn't want to buy it? Just joking.
Well,
It's on Game
it
Pass now.
used to be that hey, just when you thought you were done, now an indie one comes out. Now it's like no, we're just gonna re-release all your favorites.
Yes,
And get you back in
favorites
there.
along with also the indie ones like
Yeah, and then another
Hayden
like Chained
Chronicles,
Echoes comes out, and you're like,
yeah,
son
Chained
of a bitch.
Echoes, Sea of Stars, like so many good JRPGs. Damn it! Oh, I don't have enough time. But yeah, Tales of Graces F. I had to give that the shout out it needed because I nearly fell out of my chair when I saw that. I was so excited.
See, I thought you were going to talk about SpongeBob, but apparently I had you wrong there.
Yeah, I didn't. That was probably one of the few games I was like, I don't like. There are multiple of these. I've got the Bikini Bottom responged, or I have no idea what the hell it's called, but I've got one, and I feel like if I crave SpongeBob, I just need one. I don't need like SpongeBob 5 or whatever the heck this one would be.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Well, I mean, aside from that, there were definitely still a few other interesting ones. We got another tease of Metal Slug Tactics, which has been on my radar since it was announced at Summer Game Fest. I want to say it feels like 3 years ago now, if not even longer.
That was a few years ago. Yeah,
one of those things. It's like you keep waiting for it. Be like, it can't take you that long, can it?
Can it? Yeah. No, that is definitely on my radar. 100%. Same as Coffee Talk Tokyo.
Yeah. The second that I saw the Toge Productions guys, I'm like, don't fucking do this to me.
Yeah.
I can't. You know what? I can't take any more of these because I'm already sad still about the original creator passing away. Like I can't. And then they were like, we're doing another. I'm like, damn it.
Damn it. Yeah, I was like, okay, maybe it's just the same people that worked on Coffee Talk are now doing another game. And I'm like, okay, I can probably calm down, and then I don't need to pick that up immediately. And then they're like, it's basically Coffee Talk 3.
They're like, no, we're doing it in completely new characters. I'm like, great. I get to even have more people that I like.
Such a good setting.
Oh, yeah.
Tokyo. God. Damn it.
I mean, it would make me a little bit sad to not see anybody there. I mean, they did tease the dad of the idol in that one. I can't think of her name right now, but
yeah,
I think it's Rachel is the idol's name, if I'm not mistaken.
Rachel? Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah.
But yeah, like her dad was there. Like I feel like oh my god, why am I? this is how long I've out of practice on this. Who's the Freya? There we go. Freya. I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up because she is kind of like the character in Coffee Talk.
Yeah, she's like the mascot, right?
But it seems like they're going like, hey, we're gonna make our own, different set of people out here. They've definitely gone even further in the direction of the, woke mob, multicolored hair ones, which makes me so happy because it makes some people very angry.
Oh yeah, it's coffee. Like, how can you be angry? It's Coffee Talk. God. But yeah, I'm so excited for that. Whenever that comes out, like if that's not on Game Pass day one, I purchase that day one. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Speaking of butts, date everything.
That game is so self-aware. The fact that you can date the chat box in the game, like you're chatting with the chat box, like they started going further. And
I don't know if that game's for me, but I really need it to be because it looks like a fucking riot.
Yeah, like, you can date the cupboard. Like, it was just stuff in the house, but then it's like, you can date the game itself. And it's like, wait a minute.
Well, of course you gotta date the cupboard. You have to fill the cupboard. I mean, what?
What? Yeah, like the vacuum. That was pretty funny. That guy's name was like Hoove. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's just one of those things where it's like, see, this is when you know that the genre has gone too far, that it needs to get mocked to this extent, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
That's always when things are the best. When somebody takes a real shot at all of the dumb tropes in something, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's so self-aware, but it makes it so good. It makes it so good, right?
Yeah. Aside from that, the only other two. Oh no, I have three more on my list. On Your Tail, which just aesthetically looked really pleasing and very chill. Star Overdrive, which just looks like a mixture of like SSX with like third-person combat, and I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah, whatever that was awesome. Like I just wanted it. I couldn't even fully understand it at the time, but I know I wanted it.
And then, speaking of things I didn't even know I wanted, Peglin, which is just Peggle, but JRPG. I'm like, I don't know who thought of that, but you're a fucking genius.
Yeah, like that seems like the perfect like.
Who needs RNG
game
when you can literally just walk a peg, not do the thing you want it to?
That seems like the perfect like, perfect for Switch too. Like that's like the perfect like before bed. You get into bed, you're just gonna play something for half an hour a bit. Like that is going to be a game I play while I'm playing other games and just want to chill out. Maybe we put some chill music on or something. Oh yeah, that's gonna be it. Like fucking Peggle turn-based RPG or like
it's so random.
The thing they think of, right?
But it's so good at the same time.
Yeah.
But that's like aside from like again like other little things. But that was all the stuff that I was on my radar. Was there anything else that you think we missed here?
No, but I do want to give just another shout out to that freaking DLC for Sea of Stars. It is so an homage to like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. Like you get a new companion, which looks to be like a frog robot, as in Chrono Trigger, a mix of
that's not
Robo
a reference
and frog.
to anything at all.
Yeah, it's like, and they go to an evil carnival. I'm like, is that the Millennium Fair? But like, it's gone to shit. Like, what is happening?
Now, my only complaint is there's not going to be a train getting suplexed, and I'm going to be very upset.
Did you see the train though?
Yes.
The train fight. There's a train fight like Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, it is legitimately
where you're
animated
and
like
fighting
it's
as a train's coming at you. Like, first of all, that never made sense. You can't run at the same speed of the train. But
yes, you can. They have haste.
Oh, right. They have haste. That's true. Sorry. That is true. But I have a feeling that they didn't show it, but it's going to be a thing where, like, when you're done the fight, you finish it by, like, suplexing the train or something. Like, something fucking referencing Final Fantasy VI and doing that with the train, gonna happen. I just know it. And, God, like, that is a game made by fans. Like, there's just no ifs or ands. So perfect. Like, I want that. My issue is I played through the game on Game Pass, and the DLC is not going to come to Game Pass, and this is how they get you. But also, this is a game I might want to actually buy on PC, play it on the Steam Deck, and grab the DLC, play through it again, and then go and do the DLC as well. Mm-hmm. Because, damn, that game is so good. That was my game of the year last year, so the DLC just makes me need it again.
Yeah, for sure. I guess we'll just finish off by saying like what our favorite thing from this whole thing was. I mean, for me, it's very obvious. It's Coffee Talk Tokyo. I can't even pretend that it's anything else. Like that's still, it's almost become my comfort food. I will play this game almost once a year at this point. So like to get even more of that, and with an even more interesting cast of characters that I just really want to see what's going on. Like. And also the aesthetic, just again, like I have never in my life ever thought about being a barista in a coffee shop that's open only specifically at like the stupid late night hours of the night. But if that's my clientele, fuck yeah, I'm in. I know that's not what would happen, but if that was what would happen, I'm in.
Yeah, I think you'd be disappointed by the lack of like werewolves and stuff that actually exist and would show up.
Apart from the fantasy races, I don't even think you're getting chill people at that point in the day. It's likely going to be people that are super fucking drunk.
Yeah, it's going to be just drunk
or
people.
Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, a bunch of people that are taking there just because it's shelter and heat.
Yeah. I think it wouldn't work in real life, but God, if it did,
And for you, what stood out the most?
So that's one of them, 100%. I would have probably picked that one if you hadn't. It's really hard for my second. I don't know if it's the DLC for Sea of Stars or if it's Tales of Grace's F, but I'll probably go with the Sea of Stars DLC just because it is new stuff. I'll give it to the new ideas, the new game. It just I was seeing like the video for, obviously, as everybody's seeing on the screen if you're watching us on YouTube, like the art style again, just seeing it again, like I forgot,
Yeah,
like I knew
you
how beautiful it
genuinely
was, but it
forget
just
how unbelievably beautiful that game is.
yeah, like that pixel art and the animations and the designs and just everything, like it is so beautiful and fun and happy and inviting and like oh just exciting, like oh, and there's the train fight, there it is. Like I
Also,
don't know,
I
it's
look at
just
those
perfect.
two enemies that are like the clown looking like robot enemies, and I immediately think of Knife Guy and the other one from Super Mario RPG at Booster's Tower.
RPG, yeah, that's what I was thinking too, like I think that they're just pulling out all these like little references kind of to other games and
It
just
really just
running
feels
with
like
it.
they're like, all right, this is just DLC for fun. We're just gonna literally just go off of
Yeah,
everything we used to like.
absolutely. And the fact that they
You
did
know, when
so
Square
many
used to make good
references.
JRPGs, you know that time?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not them anymore. It's this team.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
there's
like
gonna be a lightning reference anywhere in there.
if there is, I would be very, very
Or
surprised.
you know, a 2020 plus Chrono game, you know, because that's a reference that they can make, right?
I mean, this might as well just be Chrono 3. The connection is close enough. I'll take it.
I mean, at this point, we just have to accept that, right?
Yeah, we do.
Because even if
We
they
really
make it, I
do.
don't trust them to make it good anyway.
No, they wouldn't. No, they would totally ruin the franchise, I feel, unfortunately. Oh,
But hey, that's a great segue to talk about ruining a franchise, because speaking of one that's not even ever going to become a franchise because it's going to die a very quick, painful death, Concord, which is the whole
yeah.
reason we were originally going to be here today, because that motherfucker was dead on arrival.
Yeah, the Steam numbers are abysmal.
They are already down to less than 100 concurrent players. It's just,
Ugh.
it's gone.
Yeah, like that's a small group of friends. That's one Discord of like 50 people that play that game, and that's all that it'll be. It's going to cost more to have the servers going than the actual people going into the game and buying it.
Like, I
Oh,
legitimately don't know what their goal was with this game. I mean, apart from capitalizing on what I guess maybe they could say is the fame of Overwatch, and maybe because this game has been in development for 8 years. So, I mean, let's be real. They were
yeah.
chasing Overwatch, expecting it to still be good by the time that they put this game out.
Yeah.
And maybe they thought, well, hey, maybe we got a chance because Overwatch 2 is kind of pissing off all its fans. The problem is Concord costs you money to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
If this is free to play, we maybe have a different story. I don't know if it changes that much. But being
little,
$40 to get in the first place,
Yeah.
not in 2024 is that going to work for you, because Foam Stars,
No.
how well did that go for that? And Foam Stars, is, from what I understand, is about to become free to play.
It's about to go free to play. Yeah, they did announce it's about to go free to play, which is not going to help. It's not going to.
So in 6
help.
months,
It's too late.
Concord's going to go free to play, and we're going to be like,
Who?
what do you think that's going to do?
I think that 8 years ago when they started this, like there was no Overwatch 2 yet. I don't even know if Apex Legends was out. Like, I think that they were chasing something where it's like, wow, Overwatch is pretty popular. Team Fortress 2, people like that. And I think they started with that idea. And as the game took so long to develop, they kind of missed their window. Because if this was out and there was no Overwatch 2 and maybe Apex just came out or whatever, maybe there would still be a market for it because it would have been early enough that it's like, hey, look at this kind of still fresh idea. But now it's at the point where it's like there's like 100 of these or something. Everybody's kind of got their own. And now it's like, hey, you kind of missed your window. Like if anybody's playing Overwatch, they're not going to leave Overwatch. If anybody's playing Apex, they're not going to leave Apex. Like you've missed your window. And this is kind of like Marvel Rivals too. Like they were chasing the same thing, probably
But at
hoping
least
the
in
IP
Marvel
would even.
Rivals' case, they have an audience that already knows what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
for
they
sure.
have at least that going for them. Concord, it was literally like, hey, we're Overwatch, but it's a new IP. Surely you guys can come and play us. And we'll be like, yeah, no, Overwatch already exists. Also Valorant. Like we don't need this.
Yeah, and Valorant's out now. I think there's an X Defiant or something.
That's more
by,
of a Call of Duty.
Oh, that one's more Call of Duty. Okay. Yeah, but
Well,
like
like
there's
right
so
away,
many of
there is a
everything,
guy
right?
who looks like he's basically McCree from Overwatch. It's like, guys, you didn't even try.
No, they didn't try. And the animations are like Overwatch. The cartoony slight look to everybody is Overwatch. Like it literally is just Overwatch, and they thought that they could grab that, and it's too late.
Well, I
You're
mean,
already
here's the thing
past
too.
it.
I'll never play it. Who knows? Maybe the game actually is better than Overwatch. Here's the problem: no one cares anymore because it's been pissed away by all the other games, and they've already adapted to what they want. Like people have decided if they want to play Overwatch. People have decided that they're playing Valorant. Like the audience that you have left to take from pretty much don't care about these games at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Except oddly enough, the Steam one, the Deadlock or whatever the heck that
But that,
one's
to
called.
be fair, that's also being done by Valve. People actually trust that.
Yes.
And also, it's getting off of the hype of Valve has not done anything in so long that people want to know
Yes.
what that is.
And I think that is 100% what it is. Valve is a very smart developer in the sense that they only put out a game like once every, I don't know, 7 years or something. And even then, that game might be a VR game that's really good, Half-Life Alyx, but like, that's it. That's the game. Like, so you're gonna wait another many years till the next one comes. So yeah, I think it's just people wanting to do something, play something new from Valve,
Well, and
and that's
also,
going to be
like
to
you
their
could make
benefit.
the argument that when Valve makes something, they're not doing it to go for a trend. They're doing it because that's just what they want to do, and they'll make it work.
Yeah, they've got Steam money, so they're like, "Hey, let's just make another cool game. If it's popular, it's popular. If not, whatever. Like it's on Steam. Like we own it. If it doesn't do well, we're making our money elsewhere." So they'll probably actually just make it more of a passion project than a money-making scheme. They don't need the money. Steam does not
Valve,
need the money.
where's my turn-based JRPG? Come on.
Yeah. Oh
Chop,
God,
chop.
if that happened, Valve made a turn-based RPG, I'd pass out. I'd be so happy.
But yeah, like it's a real shame because like I feel horrible for all the people that have worked on Concord because that's
Absolutely.
a lot of time that they've put into it, and hopefully they got paid decently. Although you don't trust anything in these days with the industry and how
No.
it does with anything.
Absolutely not.
But like at the end of the day, like this comes back to I don't know how many times I got to keep saying this. Stop chasing the trend. By the time that you start producing a game when the trend's going, it's likely going to die by the time that you're done. Especially
Yep,
with how long games
100%.
take. Like the chances of you and this took 8 years. Overwatch has been actually. Let me quickly Google when the first Overwatch came out because that's going to tell me everything I need.
Let's say
to
that
know.
was
2016. So yeah, 8 years.
8
So
years ago.
the time, like literally, this game was in production seemingly as soon as Overwatch was popular.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
you were
and-
chasing a trend that had just started, and most games at bare minimum are taking 3 to 5 years, if not longer. So you're banking on 3 to 5 years from now minimum that whatever this thing that you're chasing is still going to A, be relevant, and B, not already be full of other competition.
Yeah. God, 8 years. So long. That's like seeing Super Mario World and thinking like this is the one game everybody's going to play. Now, actually it was, but and then all of a sudden like the PS2's being announced, but you're still making like a Super Mario World game instead of what is now current. Like that's a long time to make a clone basically of a game because this is just Overwatch. Like it looks like the first Overwatch.
Yeah. And I mean, like, sure, you can make the argument that, well, JRPGs are still a big thing today. Third-person action adventure games are still a big thing today. Sure. But also, that is a series of things that have gone on for much longer than what Overwatch is because these types of games only just started. So, and a lot of these trends quickly come and go.
Yes. And even then, like if you take something like a JRPGs aren't clones of each other for the most part. They do, like if you look at Chained Echoes and you look at Sea of Stars and you look at, any other JRPG, like they're all very different in their own
It's
right.
not like any JRPG that comes out today is literally just a clone of Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I kind of wish there was, but
Well, that's that
it.
Phantom Train fight, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like each of these games are different and unique. Even platformers, 3D platformers, 2D platformers, like they'll try and do their own thing where Astrobot looks a lot like Super Mario Odyssey, but the two are extremely different in their aesthetic and look and feel. One is very Nintendo, one is very PlayStation, where this game just looks like Overwatch. It doesn't look like they tried to be different. It looks like they jumped on a trend and just made their own fan characters for Overwatch. That's all it looks like to me when I'm looking at this.
Well, and then the biggest common denominator between this compared to, say, a JRPG or an action-adventure game, single player versus multiplayer, and story versus not really having a story.
Oh yeah, zero story and just hoping the addictive gameplay is addictive enough.
You can copy a lot of things, but if there's a story involved, the story is going to be what sells it in the end and keeps it alive as it goes on.
Oh, 100%.
In a game like this, gameplay, if that's all you're running off of, you're either going to live forever or you are going to die quick.
Yeah.
And it's why
100%.
we saw so many do this with MMOs chasing WoW. We saw so many things chasing Fortnite, and it's finally starting to die down. Or everything that was trying to chase Rust and other games like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the same things kept happening again and again, and it's like, guys, you're only, you might get, a bump in the streamer culture, but as soon as that's gone and they move on to the next thing, you're done.
Yeah, it's over.
And, it goes back to the other thing that I've said is, when are companies going to finally learn that live service does not work for about 90% of the products that seem to be coming out?
Yeah.
Everybody just looks at what Destiny does. Everybody just looks at what Fortnite does and think oh, that's the model. No, it's not. It worked for them, and it's barely working for anybody else.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a unique thing that's happened once, so people liked it. It was new. But if you just keep flooding it, it just doesn't. First of all, you don't have that new feeling. It just feels like you're copying. And then people think, well, why would I not just play, say, Fortnite and play this clone of Fortnite? I already have it. Why would I bother with another one when I've already got this good one that I enjoy? Yeah.
Yeah, whereas, sure,
brutal.
I really enjoy a JRPG. I enjoy Trails, but I also enjoy Persona, but I also used to enjoy Final Fantasy, and I also enjoy games like Chained Echoes and Sea of Stars. But why is that? They all look different. They all have different stories. They all have different characters. What is What is the difference to me between Concord and Overwatch? The only difference I can think of at this point in time, there isn't as nearly Rule 34 art drawn of it.
Yeah, it doesn't even have that going for it.
That's it.
At least Overwatch is very Rule 34.
That's it. That's all I can say. Now, granted, haven't played them, but from a surface look, I don't see that much different. Other than the fact that I guess they show the health bars of your party members.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, they look so much the same. They look like DLC of each other. I can't even tell which one is which sometimes, I would say, because I also don't play either. But yeah, it's uninspired. It just seems like going after a money money trend versus trying to make something unique or try to make a game that you'd actually think wow, this is a new experience. People would love this, which is what older games used to do. Or what JRPGs would do and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mario was huge because it tried to do something different. All right, well, what if we just ran to the right and jumped over these freaking turtles and then it just kept evolving every game. All right, what if we made this 3D? What new power can we give Mario? What could we do? How could we make a cool level go crazy? They're always trying something different versus just chasing after another game that had a similar mechanic. And it's well, let's just do what everybody else did and copy it, and we'll get the money that way because people love that.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, again, it's also a different story because we haven't played this. We don't really know what it's like from the other side. But I mean, we can say whatever we want at this point because, well, let's be real, no one else seems to be trying to defend it because no one's playing it.
No.
So it's at the point where it's look, it's very clear that no amount of marketing that they did was doing the job. Even we said when we saw the trailer at the PlayStation conference they did, the trailer was fucking cool, but we know the game isn't designed to be that.
No, it looked like a single player heist game or something, and that was just a cutscene. And then it turns out to be a hero shooter that has nothing to do with whatever the hell was happening in that story.
It's fine though. The secret level episode for it is going to be perfect.
It might be the best thing Concord ever put out. Actually, it will be.
Which much like the bar for the Borderlands movie, it's not a very difficult bar to clear.
That's
I
true.
mean, like I said, it's a real shame because I think aesthetically it's a really cool idea. Like if they took that license and said, why don't we try doing something in a single player aspect or a cooperative story aspect?
Yes.
Like maybe there's some legs to the actual universe, but as it stands right now, I do not understand. Like sure, if you build it enough, maybe you just have to release it anyway. But like 4 years in, you're nowhere near done. And like assuming that this is what they were working on the entirety of the 8 years, because you never know, maybe it was a different concept at one point and they switched it, right? Yeah. But like if this is what you are intending to do, and 4 years after that you've seen all of the other games try to do that, Lawbreakers, for those who remember that died real quick.
Yeah.
So many other people try to do that and failed, to the point that now even Overwatch can't keep itself up. Blizzard fucked its own property up, and now it's literally just Valorant, and let's be honest, nothing else.
Yeah. God.
So, like, the fact that they went this far in development and said at no point, maybe this isn't going to work, that just tells you again that, like, there's this part of this industry that just is so hell-bent on chasing fictional dollars that may or may not exist, instead of going, hey, why don't we put a good product out? Because as we continue to see with games like Baldur's Gate and Helldivers, that if you put a good product on the table, it will work.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there are AAA studio games that can be out there and be so good. But again, Helldivers was kind of unique, right? There's not an exact game that's like that, where you pick your loadout, land out on a planet, choose between bots and bugs and stuff. It's not like it's an overly unique concept, but it's not a clone of another exact game. The closest game is Helldivers 1, but it was just a different look. Now it's 3D. Like, it just looked fun, properly priced, cool aesthetic. And yeah, that game did amazing. And then you take Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 2 came out in the late 90s. And yeah, sure, it looks a lot like Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. It's the same studio. But they were making a game with passion and like, hey, what would people actually want from this? If somebody into D&D, or even non-D&D people who just want a fantasy story, like, they put the effort in to make a product that when you look at it, you're like, wow, that is Baldur's Gate 3. You can see a character from that game and you know exactly what it is. You see a character from like Concord or Valorant, you're like, oh, that's one of those cartoony hero shooter characters. Because they'll look the same.
You look at a lot of stuff now with especially a lot of these games that fail very quickly, like a Foam Stars, like now Concord. You look at that, and then you look at a game like Baldur's Gate. What are the differences? Baldur's Gate, they wanted to do something that they wanted to do. There wasn't a corporate interest that was telling them to just chase dollars. And when they built the game, they took as long as they needed to. They made sure that what was being put out there was of quality, and not just rushing out, something that just is very much like anything else. And it feels like when you play a game like a Baldur's Gate, or when you play a game like a Helldivers, that as you play it, you don't look at it and go, oh, they checked this boss. Oh, they checked this boss. They checked this box. Like, it doesn't feel like that.
No, absolutely
when I
not.
played Final Fantasy 16, I legitimately did that, where I'm like, oh, they're going for the Game of Thrones audience. Oh, they're trying to be more like action games. Oh, they're trying to be more gritty. Like, they're trying to literally check these boxes from like another thing. Whereas I can play a game like Trails and go, oh, they're trying to create a good story. Oh, they're trying to make a game that has interesting characters. Oh, they're trying to make a game that has like really high quality, side quests and quest design and game design. Granted, my feelings with the new game are a little bit different, but like the games that they have released up until this point, I look at and go, this isn't there to check a box. This is there because this is what they wanted to do. And it feels like we are seeing way too many games in the AAA sphere, which is what's going to lead into our little bit of the final conversation on this topic. But it feels like the AAA industry has stopped being about passion and has started just being about checking boxes.
100%, absolutely, and it's hurting that industry so bad. We see it in, I think Open World was one of the ones that started to show that.
I mean, look at Star Wars Outlaws.
First.
Like a lot of the early reviews are talking about how buggy and how much of a mess that game is at launch.
Yeah, like I've actually held off on, like, usually I'd be like buying it for day one. I'm not even sure if I'm going to. I'm pretty sure at a $90 game, I might actually be waiting
I've
on
seen
that.
some
And I'm a
early clips that people have
huge.
shown. It is
Oh yeah,
there is some stuff that's happening in that game that's like, dude, like day one
yeah.
patches I don't think are going to be enough to fix that right now.
No, no, I think that's going to be a wait for patches game, to be honest. But yeah, like open world games started with like, oh, people liked doing side stuff in Grand Theft Auto. Okay, well, we have to have all the side stuff because if the game isn't long enough. So they start putting stuff in to check off a box of how long the game is. The story's 15 hours,
Except they
but there's
forget that like the
85
side
hours.
stuff in GTA generally was interesting and funny. It's like how Yakuza, all their side stuff is such a massive departure from the main story and is always
Yeah.
really entertaining.
Yeah, and like yeah, the Hostess Club, as we talked about in the intro or whatever.
What's a side quest in
um,
an Assassin's Creed game? What is a side
Side
quest in an
quest?
Assassin's Creed
No
game?
idea.
It is literally like, hey, this person, I can't find this person. You find them, they're dead. You kill the person who killed them. That's the side quest.
Yeah,
In a lot of these games, that's what a side quest is now. It's this person's missing. Find them. Or, hey, someone stole this item, or I can't find this item. Go find it. That's
Yeah.
not what a Yakuza side quest is. That's not what a
No.
GTA side quest generally is.
that's not even what the Witcher side quest was, and
No.
it's like an actual open world game.
But the
like,
fucking
built-
Bloody Baron, that was a side quest.
Yeah, like it was an actual quest versus like I'm missing 3 apples, 2 bananas, and 1 loaf of bread, and you already have the items. Oh, side
Yeah, like a
quest
lot
complete.
of side quests that we see today in a lot of these open world games, they're more like MMO side quests.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
just
what
filler.
they were going for. Yeah,
It's. I mean, it goes back to that conversation of games are too long, but that's a whole other conversation. The last thing I
Yeah.
wanted to mention though is like, but going along with the idea of AAA games just being so insanely formulaic and just such a departure in how like, you know, at this point, I think it's safe for me to say that my interest in AAA games is now, the scale is now tipped, and indie games are now higher on my intrigue list than anything else. Because it seems
100%.
to me that that's where all the passion is. That's where all the ideas are now. Because AAA is basically just one of 10 ideas that they just throw a dart at the board and be like, oh, we're doing a turn-based RPG today. Oh, we're going to do a third-person action-adventure open-world game. Oh, we're going to do a live service shooter. Like, that just seems to be what it is.
yeah, like they're chasing money. They're chasing, you know, what's popular, what boxes can we check off so people want to buy this game and play it, and blah 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 blah.
Oh, right, I forgot the last one. Oh, it's a sci-fi horror game.
Yeah. Yeah, those ones at least I feel haven't been overdone yet, and that's probably because I avoid them. That's why I don't feel burnt out.
Give it
I
time.
don't feel burnt out by a game I don't play. But yeah, I agree, because when you see the AAA games, yeah, they're like checking off boxes. They're chasing, you know, what is financially popular. That's what they thought was going to happen with Suicide Squad. Okay, well, you get an IP that's popular, and you know, people like gunplay and live service. Let's do that. Worst game ever frickin' made. But you take indie games aren't chasing. I mean, they want to sell their game, but they're selling their game by making something that they would want to play. Like, I recently played through Dave the Diver. That cannot possibly be copying any other game. What the fuck would it be copying? There's no other diving game I even know of, let alone one where you like dive during the day, come out, run a sushi restaurant with the things that you got. But also there's all these story quests that lead you to finding like the sea people, and DLC that's free for Godzilla where you find him in the ocean. Like crazy bonkers stuff. But it's so unique. It's relaxing yet intriguing, and it's because somebody just made a game that they would want to play. Balatro, it's a card game that exists. You don't even need video games to play card games. Buy a deck of cards for like $1, you'd be able to play card games. Somebody just made a catchy card game that they would want to play. One that they've said they're never going to ensure ends up in like casinos and all that kind of stuff. Like, they're passionate about what they did, and that passion of wanting to make something they want to play made it where they sold millions of copies, because guess what? If you want to play it as a developer, you really like it, there's going to be other people out there that also really like it. That, you know, people making Concord, maybe they enjoyed it for a bit while they were playing it, but it's not like they're making it because it's that unique thing. No, it's because the people who work higher up were like, Overwatch makes money. Check off the boxes of it being, you know, 5-on-5 and this and that and this and that, red versus blue, and perfect. There you go. We'll make money. And guess what? It doesn't work. There's no uniqueness to it. There's no like you being like, oh, you know, it'd be really cool if we had in the game where the main character is standing in front of a sunset, and then like the enemy jumps through the sun, and you're, I don't know, something that you'd see in the Messenger or something. But still, like, there's passion, and then there's just check boxes for money. And I agree with you in the sense that I am way more intrigued by indie now. I find myself, if I'm playing a AAA game, it's on my Steam Deck and it's old. It's like Fallout New Vegas or something like that, because that was when they were still doing a lot of passion and stuff in the AAA space. Other than that, I'm playing things like Balatro, Dave the Diver, stuff like that, like JRPGs for sure. But even the JRPGs I'm playing aren't the new like AAA ones. It's either a remaster of an old one or it's an indie game like Sea of Stars, Chained Echoes, that kind of stuff, because that's where the quality seems to be. Sure, the graphics are a little more toned down, but who the hell cares? I think Dave the Diver looks better than Concord. I think Balatro looks better than Concord, to be honest, but
So I
it's just how it is.
I got two things I want to talk about that I have list-wise. First one is Metacritic. This is the first page of the top games of 2024. And I'm only going to mention the ones that I would consider to be AAA, and how almost every single one of these we can discount or disqualify. Number 1, the Elden Ring DLC. That's DLC. Already, I don't think it counts as a full. It's not a full game. Number 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth remake. Number 5, Last of Us Part 2 remastered. That's a remaster.
God.
Number 7, Tekken 8. There's one. There's one I can accept on the list.
There's one. Yeah.
Number 8, Destiny 2: The Final Shape. DLC. Horizon Forbidden West Collector's Edition or Complete Edition. Just a repackage.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling. Number 14, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake.
Remaster. Or remake, yeah.
That is it. Because I don't consider the Prince of Persia game that Kaylan's playing right now, The Lost Crown, it's not AAA to me, because it's more style like an indie game.
Yeah, it's Ubisoft making an indie game.
Out of 24 games, the first page of Metacritic's top games of the year, I consider one of them to be a full AAA game.
Yeah.
And not either a rehash or DLC.
Yeah.
The second list is my personal 6 out of 6s from this year. There are 7. Not one of them are AAA. It is Until Then, which actually the side quest you'll see on Friday is going to be my review of it. Helldivers 2, Aiden Chronicle, Balatro, Penny's Big Breakaway, Zetzillions, Open Roads.
Mm-hmm.
The only
AAA
game I have completed and rated for this year is Rebirth, and it is, again, a retelling or a remake of a game that's already there. Yeah. Anything else that has come out that I have tried to play, I have either not finished or have ignored. And it's been 9 months.
Yeah. I'm very similar with your list. I've got like Aiden Chronicles, Balatro. I've got Dave the Diver, but I can't really include that because I think the game's actually like from 2022. I just picked it up this year.
You know how honestly sad this list is? I went to the second page. There are only 2 other games that would be considered on that second page to be AAA, and that's Dragon's Dogma 2, which I wouldn't even consider AAA because it's not a big enough game that's got that attention, and EA Sports College Football 25. How sad is that?
Yeah, that's bad.
Which, by the way, shout out to the real hidden indie gem of Between Horizons that I reviewed. It's actually in the top 2 pages for Metacritic this year. That's cool. But again, like, that's the kind of thing that is making me believe. Now, it also, granted, it is partially a lot of stuff is being saved for the fall, but also a lot of stuff got released last year. Sure, you can make that excuse. But I don't think that's a good excuse anymore for an industry that's got all this money pumping in all the time. It sounds to me like it's not a problem of the industry itself, other than the fact that, well, they take too long to make games anymore because the expectation is they need to be so big, even though they don't. And that they're always chasing money than quality. And it's showing. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I was making the Game Awards right now for the Game of the Year, I don't even know if I include a AAA game on that list right now.
Yeah.
That's my own personal bias probably talking, but like, let's be real. I don't know if there's one that deserves it apart from Rebirth, which, fine.
But I don't even know if I could give it to Rebirth. I'd put it maybe on the list. Yeah, I'd put it on the list.
It'll be on the list. Like, to me, I don't think there's any way it's not on the list, even as we stand here in September with still 3 months to go, right? I don't think there's any chance that it isn't going to get a nominee, in my opinion. However, I don't think it deserves it, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think, because the Metacritic score right now is a 92. I think that is way, way higher than it should be.
Yeah, it should be an 8 something. Yeah, like I'm looking and I see like Stellar Blade, which I didn't play. I could see that, but even then, like, I guess that's a AAA game.
Yeah, but in a way, it's not. Like, this is the thing too. Like, AAA to me, and I guess it's really what our own definition of it is. It's like it's the marketing, it's the publicity that the game elicits. And Stellar Blade was not like the shove down your throats kind of like gameplay, like the same way that a Call of Duty is, or that a Horizon would have been, or I mean, Astrobot. I don't even know if I consider to be AAA because it's not being advertised as such either.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I think of the games this year that I would want to play or that are not out yet or I haven't played yet. And I've got like Stellar Blade and I've got Astrobot. But like AAA wise, I was excited for Star Wars. That the reviews are not looking good for that. There's Assassin's Creed, but that's not going to be like Game of the Year. That doesn't even deserve to be on any list.
If I'm looking at the list, like I got GameSpot's release calendar here. So obviously Star Wars Outlaws at the end of this month. And then as I keep scrolling, because I'm trying to think of like, I'm not even thinking off the top of my head of like what's been announced that would even be considered that right now. Because that's how like completely out of it I am with it right now.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not counting re-release. Because like Final Fantasy 16 is listed, but that's the PC release.
Yep.
I'm still scrolling. Oh, well, I guess Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is like Nintendo's yearly like, hey, here's another big game. But I don't even look at that as being like AAA.
No, it's not a huge AAA game. It's using an engine that they already made for the Link's Awakening remake, and they've just kind of released it. It's like a smaller release,
it's like
but
September,
it's going to be probably good. But yeah, no, it's Astrobot and Zelda. Those are the only two I can even remember.
October,
oh, Space Marines 2?
I wouldn't even consider
that September.
AAA, though.
Yeah, like to me, that's again, yeah, they all feel like these AA games.
Yeah, as I'm looking at October now, you got the Diablo 4 DLC, which again, DLC.
Yep.
Silent Hill 2, which remake.
Yeah.
It's just I keep scrolling, thinking I'm gonna find something, and I just don't, and I'm not seeing it. Which is just there we go. Call of Duty. There you go. October 25th. There's one of them. Does anyone really think it's gonna be that good? Come on, let's not kid ourselves. Dragon Age: The Veilguard. There's AAA.
Oh, there's a AAA.
There's one for sure.
But I mean, that could go either way. That could be rated well, or it could be crap.
And then after that, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Maybe Stalker 2, just because, well, but Xbox hasn't really pushed it that hard, so I don't know if I consider it that. So really, if I'm being completely honest right now, it's Star Wars Outlaws. It's, I mean, if we're not talking again remakes or DLC, it's Star Wars Outlaws. It's Dragon Age: The Veilguard, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yeah.
That's it. That's the rest of the year. And this is the other problem with AAA. It's so scattered now because they can't push anything out quickly.
No, and they're chasing after the wrong things. And like Call of Duty, I'm a little excited for because it seems like they're trying to go back for what was good
and also
instead
you
of
chasing. To pay $80 for it.
Yeah, and honestly, if I had to pay for it, I wouldn't even fucking think about it. But I think that they're trying to like make it like the older ones, like the PS3, early PS4 era, maybe even just PS3. But again, that's just how they're marketing it. It could be where it's not as great.
Yeah, like if I think of all of them too, like Star Wars Outlaws, I've said many times on the show, I do not care because Ubisoft can suck it. That same goes for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I love the fact that they've finally done a Japanese one. Little too late, so I don't care. Call of Duty, whatever. I'll play the campaign and I'll be done with it. They're always a good riot. Like it's like an MCU movie right now. Call of Duty campaigns are not like life changing, but they're always fun.
No,
that's what they are. And Indiana Jones we're worried about.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like excited and worried for that a lot. I mean, that's how I felt about Star Wars Outlaws.
The biggest games made by the biggest companies. And I don't give a shit about any of them.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this Metacritic, and I'm like, wow, there's
it's actually scary, like how barren the AAA industry is, and also just how much it's taken over by the indie community.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And then the stuff that is on here, like, I'm sorry, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered does not deserve that Metascore because it's just a remaster of the old game and they didn't even really change
That's the thing.
anything.
Like, whoever reviews these are just like, well, I really like the second one, so here's the easiest 90 I can give right now.
Yeah, like Horizon Forbidden West Complete Edition shouldn't even be here. That's a previous year game that should just be there. Now, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth,
I don't
that
consider it
deserves to be
AAA, though. That's the thing.
yeah, that's true. It's not as triple AE. It's kind of double. Yeah, Persona Reloaded, another remake. It's crazy.
But like
Crazy.
now that I'm looking for games that I'm actually interested in, so like things that I'm interested in, and they're all indie. Squirrel with a gun. I want to know. It's
Yeah.
like Hobo with a shotgun. I gotta know.
I gotta know. Yeah, right.
What was the one? Well, Astrobot, obviously, that's on the list.
Mhm.
Like of things that I'm interested in. So there's that. I'm scrolling down the Jackbox Naughty Pack. Whenever they actually properly date that one, GameSpot says September 12th. I have not seen an official date, so who knows?
Yeah.
Wild Bastards, which is Void Bastards sequel, but in the Wild West. I fucking can't wait for that. Demon School, which is also coming around the same time. I don't know if you've heard of this one, Chris. It looks very reminiscent of like the old. Do you remember the game Riviera: The Promised Land?
No.
Like Game Boy,
Can't say
like
I
it
do.
looks like a Game Boy Advance, like top-down JRPG.
Ooh.
It's got that kind of style to it.
I think I remember this. I think I remember
Lucky
the trailer.
Squire, which just got shown off at the Nintendo thing, that was one that we didn't mention.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Iron Meat, which I have heard good things about. Actually, one of the YouTubers I follow, I think his name's John Ray. I'm blanking right now, but he talks about like it's better than Contra 3 is what he's talked about it as.
Wow.
Because that game is a
Okay.
lot like that.
That's high
Shadows
praise.
of Doubt, which I have played the beta of. It is in the same like graphical style as like a Minecraft sort of like 3D pixel art game, but it's a detective first person game. And it is very legit detective first person game.
That sounds very cool.
It was a really cool concept. I hope that gets dealt with. As I keep going through the list here, well, it's not going to be Starship Troopers Extermination. Nope, that one lost its way.
That poor game.
I know. I feel so bad for those guys, but like, what are you gonna do? Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
we go. Life is Strange Double Exposure. That's a big one for me. Mario and Luigi Brothership. I'm curious about just because those games are always a good riot.
Mm-hmm.
I have no interest in this, but I want to see what horror fans say about Slitterhead because every time I've seen a trailer for that, I go, horror fans are gonna fucking love that game.
Yeah, I'm not looking at that ever.
Stalker 2. So like most of the stuff that again my interests are in, it's just changed. And those are games that I'm aware of. Like this is even counting ones that come out and just kind of go under the radar until somebody goes, hey, have you guys seen how fucking awesome this game is? Like Chained Echoes, for example. Crosscode.
Yeah.
The developers for Crosscode are making a new game now. So like now that's on my radar compared to say 3-5 years ago where I didn't know about anything. Like remember when we all heard about Castle Crashers for the first time and how big a deal that was?
That was crazy.
And now, like,
God, I
from
love
games
that
like
game.
that, all the way, like, again, Castle Crashers, Minecraft, like, all these things. And nowadays, the scales have finally started to tip to the point that I think I can say without a shadow of a doubt, speaking of shadows of doubt, hey, there's a fun segue. The scales have actually switched to the point that I think that my core interests right now are within the indie genre than anything else. And
100%.
that is partially because we're in our 30s. It's kind of easy to get to that point when you've played everything that AAA seems to have to offer anymore, and now the fresh ideas are coming from elsewhere. But also, AAA industry kind of sucks right now.
Yeah, no, that's 100% how I feel because the easiest way I could probably put it, if I watched, I mean, we did watch for the podcast, all the different showcases have been put out by Sony, Xbox,
You know, that's a good point.
whoever it may be.
I think this might actually be my favorite one.
Yeah, like all those other showcases, they'd show like, here's a AAA game, here's a AAA game, here's a AAA game. And I would walk away with like maybe one I'm interested in. Like Sony's, obviously there was Astrobot. But also Astrobot was pretty unique compared to everything else you were seeing. And it's kind of simple. It's kind of comfort food gaming. But you can give me an indie showcase like the one we had today. Is every game there for me? Absolutely not. Like the date everything and all that. Like that's not, the
Oh,
games
come
I
on. It's
typically
date
buy.
everything. It's for everyone.
It's for everyone. But while everything wasn't for me, I found every single one of those indie games interesting that I would want to at least try every single one. Like just give them a try. Maybe after an hour I don't
some
like
of them are wish listed and other ones are like, hey, if I ever see that game come up again and someone says it's really good, at least I'll remember it and I'll know, oh,
Yeah.
so it actually ended up being good.
Yeah, or there's a demo on Steam Next Fest or something. Like, I would want to try almost every one of those games. Where in the AAA space, when I'm seeing all these games, even if there was a demo, I don't want to give most of them even a try. It's like, there's the one or two I'll like. They're, kind of connected to something I'd like. The new Legend of Zelda and probably Astrobot are the two I can think of there in the AAA space. And even that's pushing it for those ones because, like, we kind of both agree they're like a AAA studio making a AA game in a way. But like indie games, I want to try every single one of them, whether it's a genre I like or not, because they all seem interesting. That's how I ended up wanting Balatro. Dave the Diver, just, wow, that looks interesting. It's different. It looks either cozy or fun to try. Like the gameplay loop, the music, the aesthetic with the pixel art, like they all gave me a sense of wanting to at least try them. And if I didn't like it, it would be fine. It wouldn't even be like this game is bad. It's just this genre or something isn't for me. But there's definitely people out there. I'm sure some people feel that way about like Coffee Talk. Yeah, this is just a talking game. I'm not as much into it. Where you and me tried it and we were like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." When was the last time you saw a AAA game that has the same intrigue as something like Coffee Talk, where it's just no, you run a coffee shop at midnight talking to people, and there's werewolves sometimes, and people like if that was a AAA game, people would be like, I don't understand what you're even talking about because AAA would not put that uniqueness. They would never try something unique like that. It probably wouldn't sell enough for them or whatever. They'd make it cost them $40 million or something. Whereas Coffee Talk was just made as a guy's dream.
Yeah.
Game,
God forbid the idea
it.
that we keep floating around that like AAA developers should maybe actually start, doing pocket projects where it's like, hey, have a team that's focusing on your one big thing that'll take 5+ years, and then have like 2 or 3 smaller teams that are working on these like 1 to 2 year projects that are way cheaper.
100%.
And are just like experimentation. Because if you strike gold on something, there's your next big IP.
Yeah. I think that's how Octopath Traveler and all of those like 2D, 3D games that Square came about.
That game has done to JRPGs.
Yeah. They put all their money into Final Fantasy 15, 16, 7 remake, stuff like that. And all of a sudden on their side, they do this like 2D, HD kind of thing. Those are taking off. And every single one of those is highly rated.
That game has breathed so much life into old games again.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I would say the number one game I'm excited for is actually Dragon Quest III this year,
and I've never played it.
I've never played it either.
Same goes for Suikoden 1 and 2. I never got around to playing those. So, like, getting the chance to do all of those because, again, a game like an Octopath Traveler, which took a chance, and did something a little bit different to what the norm was at that time, has now created a new hole for things to go into. It's, again, why... if the AAA industry would get off its ass and try to be slightly creative for once, you might find a hole that doesn't exist there, and now you got something you can fill in and make more fucking money on.
Yeah. What's Ubisoft's best game right now? Probably that Prince of Persia game that is like it's like their take on an indie game.
Yeah, it's
an indie game with a
probably
slightly
on
higher
their budget in terms of like the last like 5 years is probably not even in their top 20.
No. Yeah, and it's like probably the best game they've got. I know I haven't played it, but I mean, you can tell from the gameplay and the ratings and everybody else who's played it, Kaylan included. And yeah, it's highly rated. Why? Because they actually tried something slightly different, kind of went back to the roots of something that I don't know if they ever actually did in Metroidvania, but kind of like took an idea, went a little bit off the path that they normally do, cut down the budget, put more effort into actual gameplay mechanics, and boom, they end up with an actual decent game. Is it going to be game of the year? No. But are they going to make money on it because what it costs to make and how much they're going to make and the reputation of how good it is could start a trilogy. They could release 3 of these things and people would buy it. Whereas like, I don't know, like some of the crap that they're putting out with other stuff, people are just like disliking everything that comes out. It's like, this is dumb Assassin's Creed, the way you're doing this. Star Wars Outlaws, you guys can't even make the AI work. Your mechanics suck. All of that, right? Like, yeah, they're not, the creativity just seems to be gone. And I get it. It's all about the money because they're publicly traded companies. And now it's about the shareholders, not about like, hey, let's make a game that we'd really like to play and then sell it to people and make money because if we want to play it, they want to play it.
So
it's brutal.
I think I can actually pinpoint when this change has really started for me. And it's another case of, oh my God, how much has COVID changed my life? Because the lockdowns for us, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, started around like February around 2020, like around that time.
Lockdowns were March 16th, 2020. And I know that because I had St. Patrick's Day plans the next day.
There you go. Around that same time, I started a series on my personal channel that I called the Demo Reel. And that's when I would play demos of games I had never heard of and would never have tried otherwise. All of that through Steam or sometimes PlayStation, because PlayStation used to have a good selection of demos for a while.
They did.
It started April of 2020.
There you go.
Almost directly when the lockdown started. And why would that have happened? Because around that time is when so many companies put so many of their projects on hold because, again, work from home was making it much more difficult. So a lot of stuff was, release dates were pushed and everything else. There wasn't nearly as much to do. And that obviously coincides with, well, let's be honest, it's around the same time that things started to get real samey.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was when, a lot more games were chasing the same clout. Like, because for a long time, the real big clout chaser was always WoW. It was always World of Warcraft. The MMORPG was always the running joke of everyone's just trying to be the WoW killer.
Yeah.
No one was really trying to be the COD killer, and if they were, everyone knew it was failing because Medal of Honor couldn't do shit and no one else really tried. And like Uncharted was to itself, like most games were not really having like a bunch of things chasing it at that time. Fast forward to this era, to this decade, it is all chasing.
Yeah,
in the AAA industry.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It seems like it's no surprise that around the same time as COVID, when I started exploring the indie area, is when that change is slowly happening. And I can safely say here as we stand recording on August 27th of 2024, pretty much 5 years from that time. Which is crazy to think that COVID is like 5 years now. That's fucking crazy to think about out loud.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's 4, but you get the point.
4 and a bit. Yeah.
But that's like how long it's been. And it's no surprise to me that it's now at this point that it's now sunk its teeth in enough to know the indie industry, quite frankly, for the foreseeable future, to me, is where all the best games are going to be. Now, that doesn't mean the AAA games won't be good, but I don't think that the legendary AAA industry is going to be showing its colors anytime soon, apart from those colors being green, because that's all they want.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be, I think one day there will be a shift. I think that the money that these companies are not making compared to the budget and everything like that, it's going to catch up to them. I think it already has. They're just still able to bleed a bit of money.
I was going to say, I want to say that it already has, but every time then another one of these happens, and I'm like, well, nope, they haven't learned the lesson yet.
No, they're just like, well, we got to get the good IP and then do the gameplay loop that people like. And it's
because let's be honest, most of the people that are at the top in these companies, they actually aren't that smart. Like, we all pretend that like a CEO has to be really intelligent. No, they don't.
No. They just were
you
lucky
just have
in
to have
getting
money,
that job.
and you have to know how to sucker people into giving you a position.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I think it will change though. I really do think that there will be such a shift because gamers won't be buying the AAA games, and these companies are going to keep losing money. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, but I think it will. We will see a shift, and I think we will see more creativity and stuff in the AAA space, cutting down on budget and not just putting out those checkboxes kind of idea. But
everybody talks about a crash. There's never going to be a crash.
Oh no, not a crash.
There will never be another gaming crash, guys. The only crash that will happen is AAA.
Yeah. That's all it'll be, because people will still be on Steam. It just keeps getting more and more players.
Look at Steam new releases. There is always something else to take its place.
Oh yeah, and there's so many games that are really popular and stuff, and the amount of gamers keeps increasing and everything, as we see on Steam. But it's just going to be the focus is going to be so shift away from AAA that you're going to see like everybody will be talking about Dave the Diver or something, and that I
can't wait for the AAA cozy game era where it's all farming games. Oh wait, they already tried to do that and then it completely went away.
Yeah, they're still kind of doing that a bit. God, the amount of these cozy games I see where it's the exact same farming
Oh, you want
idea.
crafting elements in all your games, right? No.
No, like God, just because Animal Crossing could do it and Minecraft doesn't mean every game needs it. Yeah, there's too many of
That's, I
these.
mean,
Like I
it's
love
it's
cozy
that
games,
CEO thinking of building a game. It's just it's a checkbox. It is not actually like what works with this, what makes sense. It's just, hey, put this in there because people like it right now.
yeah, like there's
The
a reason
only time
Stardew.
I think it's ever worked is when Mass Effect 3 had a multiplayer mode because everything had a multiplayer mode. But Mass Effect 3's multiplayer was fucking awesome.
Yeah, there was the Assassin's Creed one that was fun when they threw that in there. Assassin's Creed Revelations or Brotherhood, but
Like,
yeah,
I'm trying to think, how many games suddenly got better because its sequel put a crafting system in it?
no, none of them. There's a reason that Stardew Valley is so loved, and no one talks about Square Enix's fucking Harvestella or whatever the hell their farming sim was that they put out.
Or why
Like,
no one talks about Story of Seasons, Chris? Let's be real.
yeah, like it's.
I know
well,
you
mean,
love it, but let's be real.
Yeah, nobody really talks about that. But all they're doing is re-releasing the old ones because the new ones suck so hard. So they just put out a re-release of the old one, and people are like, "Oh my god, I used to play this on GameCube," and then they buy it. I'm one of those suckers. I do it too. But the new ones, I don't buy them. And you know what I avoid like hell? Fucking whatever Natsume's doing with Harvest Moon because they have the rights to that name, but they don't have the old games. Oh god, it's so bad.
I mean,
Like,
shit, I even have a poster on my wall that did the thing. Hey, Watch Dogs Legion, you know how you made a really good game before that? What did you do? Oh, we should have a thing where we just have random, procedurally generated elements, like just characters that the system generates, and just have them all devoid of personality.
Yeah, everybody just wants to play the same game on repeat and buy cosmetics, Adam. That's what we want.
And then the game
we don't
above
know
it was like, hey, what if we just made a really good first-person shooter? Don't ignore, let's ignore the fact that we released it in a really shit state when it came out. But
Yeah,
the concept was still good.
the concept was still good, and they went back. It was a horrible release date, but the game still is a good game. It just they weren't ready. And again, that is where you got the people up top not paying attention to what they should be doing and fucking up. They corrected theirs. I'll give it to them. But
You can't see
other
above it,
developers?
but there's a third poster. It's a Guardians of the Galaxy poster, where
Mm.
again they said, "Hey, why don't we just take a license?" But you know what they didn't do? Make a shit game that checked boxes.
No, it was actually good. And then they said it didn't do good enough. Now I don't think they're doing it ever again. Like,
Well, to be fair, Square Enix doesn't think anything ever does good enough.
no, because their cost is way too high. And
Square
they're
Enix could have a game that sells 100 million copies, and they would be like, it didn't hit our targets. I don't think their targets exist.
No, I think that they have shareholders that expect crazy returns. Do you remember back on PlayStation 1 where they had the $1 million sold version of games? It would become green on the side where it said
The
PlayStation.
greatest hits.
The greatest hits, because either it made $1 million or it sold 1 million copies, and I don't know which one it was.
PlayStation greatest hits. I think it was just the 1 million mark, but let's see.
Yeah, like it hit
here.
1 million something.
Let's see. Does it actually say? Okay, so originally when it came out in 97, it was anything that hit at least 150,000.
Yeah.
And being on the market for at least a year. Then it was risen to 250,000. Then when it came to PlayStation 2, it was after 400,000.
Yeah. Imagine that. That is not that big. Like, and that was the
it was brought in for
greatest
PS3
hit.
for 500,000, and I don't think it's saying what
I don't
it
think
was
they did that after
for-
that. I don't
Yeah, it was
remember seeing that for
PlayStation hits
PS4.
For PlayStation 4, but it never said what the criteria was. So at most, the last point it was 500,000.
Yeah.
And that was 2008. It says on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, and that's just number of units sold. Like, that's
Remember when Square
way
Enix was
less.
mad that Tomb Raider did it was 8 or 10 million, and they still said it didn't hit their metrics?
Yeah, like what the fuck are you looking for when 150,000 used to be a greatest hit? Every Final Fantasy was on there, 7, 8, 9, all that kind of stuff. And that was obviously more than the 150,000, I imagine, but it's probably was only 1 million back then of like units sold. It's not like it was in where it would be today. And still they're saying it's not enough, which makes no sense. But it's the crazy budget and then the shareholders' expectations,
Especially
which
today,
are way
it is
too
all
high.
shareholders. Because here's the thing: a profit doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is if the share price keeps going up. That's all that
Yeah.
matters. It doesn't matter how you get there. It's just that the price goes up.
Because the shareholders want that return on investment. That's it.
To which I go, you are dealing with fucking, like, voodoo. Like, it's like money voodoo. It's fake. Elon Musk bought Twitter with stock. Like, with he got a loan based on his stock price. He was given money for something that might be worth that much.
Yeah.
Shareholders don't know what they're fucking like. It's all fake. It's just that. Oh my god! You want to talk about another conversation? That's for another day. Good lord.
Yeah, that's another episode for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Indie good, AAA bad. Well, not all AAA, but like 90% of AAA bad. And yeah, I'm just happy I have things like a Steam Deck that runs all my indie games, and I can just go play these great games and be happy. That's it.
We're going to go play those games and be happy because that's going to be the end of our show. I'm going to edit the show and then probably go and watch some anime because right now I'm basically just in wait mode for something big to happen because also I just finished a really long JRPG and a really emotional game. I need a break. That's also why I didn't do much this week. I need a fucking break.
Well, you'll be able to play Astrobot once it's out.
Yay!
Yay!
I got something. But that's going to be it
for
this episode, guys. Thank you so much for checking us out. So obviously, if you're listening on any audio platform, give us some sort of a rating if you can. Otherwise, share with your friends. And if you're obviously watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. You know the drill. Linktree/PixelPlay Podcast. Link to our socials. Link to our Discord. Get in that goddamn Discord and come shoot the breeze with us. You know you want to be there.
Fuck yeah, get in there.
As I said, this week's side quest, I don't even gotta worry. You know what? This is the best week ever. I don't gotta do any more editing. I just got one thing to do after this show's over because the side quest is already up and in the queue. Got my Until Then full review. And I said Until Then because thankfully I didn't type it. I have said Until Dawn so goddamn much lately talking about this game. It's so bad.
It's so different. It's such a mistake.
It is so different between the two games.
Oh god.
Although I think there's more emotional damage in Until Then than Until Dawn, so you know what?
Oh jeez. That's saying a lot.
But alas, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for checking us out this week. We will see you every Wednesdays as usual for the main show every Friday for the side quest. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.